In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there.
Oil production that depends on use of the Strait risks coming to a complete halt within the next month. It has already begun to decline.
As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea. But we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary. If it is, and if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time. And we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the Strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the, we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
I have asked you to come together today to discuss the situation developing in global energy markets, particularly in the energy sector. I would like to hear your views on current events and consult with you on how we can coordinate the efforts of the state and our private companies in response to these developments. In this regard, we will discuss Russia's further actions in the global energy sphere as a whole, including in light of the escalation of the situation, as we see it, in the Middle Eastern direction. Russia has repeatedly, and I want to stress this straight away, warned that attempts to destabilize the situation in the Middle East will inevitably threaten the global fuel and energy complex. They will drive up prices for oil and gas, constrain the supply of these resources worldwide, and inevitably disrupt long-term investment plans. It appears that this is exactly what is now happening. Today we are seeing logistical problems along hydrocarbon transportation routes, and we see that this is having a very negative impact on global production and global supply chains. It affects industry and, without any exaggeration, the entire system of international economic relations, because disruptions in supply lead to other, purely economic problems. Inflation rises, and production suffers, not only oil and gas production, but also the output of industrial goods. I would like to remind you that last year about a third of the world's seaborne oil exports, roughly 14 million barrels per day, passed through the Strait of Hormuz. About 80% of that volume was destined for Asia-Pacific countries. Now this route is virtually closed. Oil production that depends on use of the Strait risks coming to a complete halt within the next month. It has already begun to decline. Storage facilities in the region are filling up with oil that cannot be exported, or that can only be exported with great difficulty or at very high cost. Obviously, a complete rerouting of Middle Eastern oil supplies without using the Strait of Hormuz is, at present, unrealistic, at least for now. Changing logistics will not only take a long time, it will also require substantial expenditure on infrastructure, the expansion of marine terminals, and so on. And, of course, all of this will be associated with significant political risks, which have not gone away. Consumers need oil today. As a result, global oil prices are rising. We can clearly observe this. Over just the past week, they have increased by more than 30%. I checked today at 5:30 a.m. Moscow time. The price had already reached more than $119 per barrel. Then it was 107, 109, 106, and now, I believe, it is hovering around 103. But there are ongoing fluctuations, and the trend is not downward, but upward. A similar situation is unfolding in the global gas market. Supplies of liquefied natural gas from the Middle East have sharply decreased. Production capacity in the region has fallen, and it will take weeks, if not months, to restore it. Rapid compensation for the missing volumes is impossible. As a result, global gas prices are also rising, arguably even faster than oil prices. What would I like to emphasize in this regard? Under current conditions, competition among buyers for energy resource suppliers, for stable and predictable deliveries of oil and gas, is intensifying. In this context, I cannot fail to note, and to remind not only those colleagues present here but all of our consumers, that Russian energy companies have always been distinguished by their reliability. It is clear that, given the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, global energy logistics will change in favor of more advantageous and promising markets. At the same time, it is important to understand that today's elevated raw material prices are undoubtedly temporary. We understand this. It is obvious, and we must proceed from that understanding. That is precisely why I have asked you to meet and to discuss how we should coordinate our actions in the near future. The change in the balance of supply and demand for hydrocarbons will inevitably lead to a new, stable price reality. Therefore, it is important for Russian energy companies to make use of the current moment, including by directing additional export revenues to reduce their debt burden, including debts to domestic banks. Dear colleagues, I would especially like to draw your attention to this. I am asking the government and the central bank to take this process under their control. Let me once again underline, Russia has always been, and remains, a reliable supplier of energy resources. That has always been the case. We will, of course, continue to supply oil and gas to those countries that themselves are reliable counterparties. And by that I mean not only our partners in the Asia-Pacific region, but also certain Eastern European states, such as Slovakia and Hungary. Even now, my colleagues informed me before this broader meeting that we are increasing supplies to our reliable partners in several regions of the world. At the same time, I would like to remind you that the European Union countries are planning to introduce additional restrictions on the purchase of Russian hydrocarbons, including liquefied natural gas, starting on April 25, up to a complete ban on such supplies in 2027. In this regard, the government has already been instructed to assess the possibility and feasibility of stopping the supply of our energy resources to the European market ourselves, rather than waiting until the door is demonstratively slammed in our faces, and to do so now, diverting these volumes from the European market to more attractive destinations and, most importantly, establishing a firm presence there. The current situation is such that if we reorient right now toward those markets that need increased supplies, we can gain and secure a foothold there. I mean in countries where there is stable, long-term demand and reliable, long-term relationships, in countries that are building constructive business relations with Russia. Incidentally, I asked you to come here to discuss all these issues. If European companies and European buyers suddenly decide to reorient themselves and offer us long-term, stable cooperation that is free from political circumstances, then please, we have never refused. We are ready to work with the Europeans. But we need some signals from them that they are ready and also wish to work, and that they will provide us with this sustainability and stability. The government is also keeping these issues under control. I hope that we will now discuss all these matters with you in detail.